133 million people are suffering from chronic illness. That doesn't mean that it's normal, although it is quite common. Did you know that it takes an average of 3 years for most people suffering with autoimmune conditions to even receive a diagnosis, let alone treatment that's going to help them to recover? Specializing in chronic illness recovery is what I do. I'm Allison Saman, functional nutritionist. And one of the best ways for me to explain how it is that I work with people is to hear it directly from them. And so here, what you're about to see is a conversation with my client, Jeana. We had a wonderful relationship. She was suffering with fibromyalgia, gastritis, and dysautonomia, in and out of the hospital, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't wear her wedding ring, couldn't hold a cup of coffee. She was so stiff getting out of bed every day until we started working together. So I hope that you enjoy her story. And if you want to hear more, comment below or click the link where you can get my roadmap to chronic illness recovery, and it can happen for you as well. Please like and comment below and let us know what you think.
Wow. Wow, it was you. God put you there in the right place at the right time. My life, like she says, has been a soap opera. Just crazy stuff all the time. But I've lived through a lot of stuff, as has Allie. I lived through a really bad divorce, marriage and divorce. My father died, who was my very best friend in the whole wide world. And I took care of him a lot of that time when he was sick. And, I'm on Facebook one day and I keep seeing this chick pop up, this curly headed chick. And she's like, have you lived with chronic pain and illness and had trouble with weight loss? And she told her story about her dad passing away, the boyfriend issue, just, similar things. And I'm like, wow, she's been through the same things that I've been through. So she's got to know something. She's got to be able to help me, because I've tried everything there is to try and taking medications. You get tired of taking medications. It's like, because nothing really works. You're just numbing the symptoms. So through that, I thought, I don't know if this is a scam, if she's for real, because that's what we think. We see stuff and we don't know people who know you or have worked with you, and we think,
right,
it's got to be a scam. It's got to be not true. So,
and we met on Facebook.
Yeah.
So on Facebook, like, you can't believe everything that you see on Facebook. Please don't.
Right. Exactly. And so I'm always skeptical of that. So,
rightfully so.
And she was like, if you have any questions or issues, or you want to talk to me, put it in the comments right here. And so I sent her a comment thinking, she's not gonna answer me or whatever. And she answered me back and said, hey, do you want to talk? 10-minute talk. Let's just talk. So as soon as we had that 10-minute conversation, and we were like, we should be sisters in another life, because we've lived through a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes. This is for me. That I'm tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So tell me what you got. Show me what you got.
Yeah.
And I'm not always a good student, as she knows. But I'm still working on it.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are. It's the human factor.
Yeah.
I've learned that lesson. We have to keep learning that lesson, right?
Yes.
It's progress, not
is.
perfection.
It's
right?
progress. And I'm 7 months into the game, and I can tell a huge difference. And by no way am I healed completely, but I'm taking the steps that she has taught me, and the research that she's done, that I've done, that we've done together, and putting those steps into motion. And it's one day at a time. And some days is bad. This has been a bad week. We've had bad weather that makes me hurt. There's been other issues that causes stress and pain, but I have all these tools to help me get through that, so I don't have to go take medication all the time. I'm still
Yeah.
weaning off of some of the meds because a lot of the meds you can't just come off. It takes a long time.
You were on very high doses too.
Yeah, and for when I first started taking them, it was like, okay, this is the answer. This is going to make me better. Well, 5 years into it, 65 pounds later, heavier, I'm like, I don't want to go out of my room. I don't want to go out of the house. I don't want to go anywhere because I'm fat and I don't want anybody to see me because I've always been skinny. So, it's just a lot of stuff that goes with it. And it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about, so where were you at? Like when you said, to make me better, like what was going on in your health? What were you struggling with before we met?
Weight, of course. Weight and gut issues was a main thing, which I've always heard that fibromyalgia is my diagnosis. I also have degenerative disc disease and dysautonomia. So it's just like there are days that you don't get out of bed, you don't get off the couch, you don't want to eat because it's too much effort to eat. I normally drink a lot of water anyway, but not as much as I do now. Now it's like that's all I ever drink is water. An occasional, half and half tea or unsweet tea, because we're from the South, you gotta have a glass of tea. But yeah, I was that. I didn't want to leave the house, and most of the time I didn't want to leave my couch or my bed. And if I did, it was for a weekend to go see my grandchildren and my children, and I had to fake it, fake being well, or I was judged. And it's just a lot that goes with that psychologically and physically.
Yeah, there's a lot when you're the only one, well, especially when it's pain, when it's chronic pain that's on the inside, you don't have an open wound, or you have a bump on your head and people are like, "Ooh, that must hurt." Or you have a broken leg. "Ooh, she needs to take it easy. She can't, let me help her with that." But when you just feel like crap all the time and everything hurts, basic things, I know that in my experience, people just thought I was a complainer. And I felt like a complainer because everything made me uncomfortable. So I blamed my parents' patio furniture. Like, why does this furniture suck so bad? And because it hurt me so much to sit on it, I complained about everything, my commute, my desk chair, my blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, it was coming from the inside. Maybe some of those things could have been better, but it was coming from the inside because even when I had brace around my knee and around my ankles, and I had a foot support, and I had a backrest and a lumbar thing, and the like, I had something for everything to solve all the problems. It didn't do anything. And so I was like, what now, Allison? And then if I would try to back out of something because I knew I wouldn't feel right being there, and then people would judge me, like, of course she's not going to go, or of course she's going to be a pain in the ass, or of course, or the guilt. And so then you go and you're miserable, or you stay home and you're miserable.
Yep.
And so what were you doing to try to, through all of the hardships, you find out who you kind of, it's like a culling of all of your friends, which is really sad, actually. Really, really sad. So what were the doctors doing for you during this time?
Okay, so my doctor, my rheumatologist, he's really a sweet man. But it's funny because every time I go every 3 months. And every time I go, when I come out, Rusty says, "What did he say?" He says the same thing.
Which is?
Just keep doing what you're doing. To live and feel better, you have to take your medicines, you have to exercise, which, his exercise is like, yoga, swimming, things that aren't hard on your joints. Walking, eating right, but when they say eat right, they don't give you a plan as what's right for your body to eat. And that's one major thing I learned with you, is that everybody's different, and
Yeah.
everybody's body handles things differently. So
Yeah. So even just with a fibromyalgia diagnosis doesn't mean that the fibromyalgia protocol, because there is fibromyalgia, doesn't mean that it's going to work for you.
right.
Necessarily. Like, no diagnoses may have similar symptoms, but the treatment plan can look very different from individual to individual.
Right. And I think that they, like you said, the doctors do the protocol. They do what they think everybody is supposed to do. And he worked with me on, changing meds, taking meds off. And the more research I did on my meds, I would be like, I'm not taking this, because in the long run, it's going to affect my kidneys, or it's going to affect this. I already have, I know from the medications, fatty liver disease. And I'm absolutely 100% sure it's from the medications.
And so what did we do? Your liver.
That's right. We worked on my gut, which was a huge thing I never, ever knew.
Did the doctors talk to you about your gut?
Yes. I was diagnosed.
They did.
I was put in the hospital in 2015 twice, 2 months back to back, with major nausea and the diarrhea. And I was losing like 10 pounds in 3 days every time I would get sick before I would go. I mean, it was just crazy. And they didn't know what to do. They scoped me. They did all that. I had an ulcer the first time. And they kept saying gastritis. So they just want to give you medicine to help your gastritis. Well, so when Allie and I got together, she's like, that's the first thing we need to work on, is your gut. The leaky gut. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of that. The leaky gut is, a main cause for a lot of autoimmune diseases. So she starts working on my gut, and I'm like, wow. Because it was not just, I didn't have acid reflux anymore. My stomach, I wasn't nauseated anymore, and things started feeling better, and
pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, like just a week or two into it, I could tell a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, because I thought, how come nobody else knows about this? And excuse me.
What did the nurse practitioner tell you?
Yeah, the nurse practitioner was like, I told her, what I was doing, and she was like, oh, you're not doing that kefir diet, or that whatever, all those other diets are to heal your gut. And I said, no, like, this is like natural things, like the turmeric tea is one of them, and my spa water. And so I started telling her about it, and she writes down the recipe to both of them. And she's going to try it.
I love that so much.
The next time I saw my rheumatologist, I told him that I'd hired a health coach, that I'm trying to get off of all these meds at some point in my life, and this is what I'm doing. And I started telling him about the turmeric tea and the spa water. Well, then he wants the recipe to the turmeric tea. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, this stuff works. It's for real.
Yeah.
Like, Allie's not just a pretend person who's trying to get your money. She's for real, and she for real wants to help you get better.
So, thank you. It's true. Where'd your light go? Mwah, mwah. Where'd your light go? Your face is dark now.
I'm sorry. It's my computer. There we go.
Oh, okay. So there were some very specific things that changed for you rather quickly in terms of inflammation. So what was one of the things, like what was one of the biggest things that you noticed that your body was less inflamed? I know, because I have your chart here, but if you don't know, but I want to ask you, and then I'll tell you if you don't remember.
Well, so one of the biggest things was when I get out of bed in the morning, most of the time, my hands and my feet, they don't look swollen to anybody else. Sometimes they do look swollen, but sometimes they don't, but they feel like they weigh 100 pounds. And I'm like, you know, walking like Frankenstein when I first get up in the morning. And so one day I just got up and started walking, and I was like, wow.
Wait, how did I do that?
Yeah, I'm not walking like Frankenstein this morning. What happened?
Who is this person?
Yeah. So that was one of the first things that I noticed.
Yeah.
Besides the gut issue was, and then the energy came. And that was a huge thing too, because for me, you know, when you're hurting and you don't want to exercise, you don't want to eat right, which means you don't feel good. So you have no energy.
Yeah.
So you're fatigued a lot. So that was another thing that changed.
Yes. Yeah. And what were you able to do when you had more energy?
Whatever the heck I wanted to.
Imagine that. Whatever the heck I wanted to. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So what is the goal? What is the goal? Why was it so important for you to get a handle on this, to start the healing process once and for all? Like what's next for Jeana?
Jeana can help other people. Number one, when I heal myself, I can help other people, which is wonderful, because this is not a good place to be, and nobody knows how to fix it. Nobody knows what to do. I'm on all these groups online, and nobody knows what to do with their issues. And they come online and they're like, has anybody ever had this? Has anybody ever had that? I've gone to my doctor. He does this. He does that. He does nothing. You know what to do, but never do they go back to the very beginning of time, where we use the very natural things that God gave us to grow and to nourish our bodies and to stay healthy. Nobody does until somebody says, hey, maybe you need to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I would argue that we go back in time in two ways. So it's using the things that nature gave us, you know, instead of forsaking that. No, man-made stuff is better. I don't know about that. But I mean, sometimes, arguably, there are man-made things that have saved lives and make lives better. But generally speaking, but also going back in time with you, like going back in your health history. And that is something that we also did and continue to do, is look back, because we want to find out where this happened in the first place. Not just here's something that's going to put a Band-Aid on the symptoms, but we want to go all the way back. When did this start? And we had a few theories about like where this was coming from, and it was sort of the snowball effect, right? It all kind of bioaccumulates, and then suddenly you have an autoimmune condition, and then you have another autoimmune condition, and then you have another, and so it just compounds. And so you learned how to become your own detective, because I would get messages from you saying, Allie, guess what? I was realizing that on this date they gave me this and blah 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 blah, and I think that's why I felt sick on that day, and it was because of, and I was like, oh, that's genius, because you know where you've been, you know you the best, you know what's going on in the inside the best, you know what people are telling you to do and what you're doing. And so to be able to put those pieces together, because I don't know that we're taught to think critically, and so kind of look at how everything fits together. Well, I mean, I've been taught, but you know, we're not taught by the medical community. It's more, oh, you're fine. That's what I always got. Like, you're fine, or have this medication and you're fine. We'll see. Or let's do surgery and that'll fix it. And it's like, no. Yeah. That doesn't sound good at all.
When you have fibromyalgia, you know, it's not just pain meds and stuff like that, but there's antidepressants, there's anti-seizure meds that they use to treat, it doesn't necessarily you're treating seizures, you're treating the fibromyalgia with it. And that stuff you can't just come
Right.
off of cold turkey. But, there's so much more to food, like you say. And, I just know the things when I had anxiety and that kind of stuff, the things that you would tell me to eat, I'm like, I would have never thought that would kill my anxiety. But it does.
But it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a good student, Jeana. You're a good student. I love you.
I love you
So much. Yay! Well, thank you.